Intimidation. See, God wants His people to move forth and do and produce. But one of the things that has a lot of His people not doing is this. Leadership. Football dance. Because of fear, what happens is, what saints do? Intentionally come late. Because I don't want to get up there and do no scripture, no prayer, because I'm scared. I got to be in front of all these people at the conference, or no. So a lot of saints come late intention. Come late intention. They intention I was coming. I was coming. I was going to, especially when they have to maybe host and get up to be the first one up there. Oh my gosh, no. Not the first one. The first one up there? Oh no. Pastor, you made a mistake on this one. I'm the first one to stand up there? Oh no. See?
Oh my God.
And the saints know that, needed to peep that out so they have done it there. You get them in the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you think they're the type of man they're going to tip out right before they leave, get them in the middle. There's always a way to do it. If you sit at the top of that, I got to go. Because there's no difference. I got you too. So next time around, tomorrow night, I'll get you right in the middle. Okay? Because if you want to skip the end, if you want to skip the middle, or you want to skip the beginning, you want to try to skip the end, I get you in the middle.
Oh my God.
You ain't gonna escape this because the leader realized they have to break that fear off you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See. So the thing is this. Fear, intimidation.
Oh.
Intimidation in many areas. Watch this now. These are areas that saints really struggling. And we may not really talk about it in the kingdom or in ministry, and it may mostly be something kind of off to the side that we talk about. But these are areas that, if you really be honest, it exists, but we don't hear it talked about as much. And these are areas of intimidation: looks, intelligence. That's another one. Oh yeah. If they feel like they're around a bunch of smart people, they get very intimidated and don't want to go up, and don't want to talk, don't want to grab the mic, don't want to do anything. They feel like they got intelligent people who's doing and producing, they don't want to be around them because they feel like they're intimidated, they can't talk right, do things right, or they have a form of illiteracy. I'm just going to keep it real.
Yeah.
There's people who struggle with that. There's another thing, how they may look themselves. They may not feel like they look tomorrow, and how they look, how they dress, how they carry themselves. They may not feel that about themselves, so they may struggle with themselves also. And why people do things. See, people struggle with different things now. Different things people struggle with for different reasons. See? Now, a leader got to assess that and see it and know how to work with them and not embarrass them, but at the same time still work with them to challenge them. So you have to do it in a way where you're not embarrassing them, but you know their struggle, but you work with them in a way where you're not embarrassing them, but you're still challenging them. So, in saying that, there's different reasons why people struggle, are fearful, intimidated, and slow of the progress. So, for that reason, that means fear is one of the strongest things that's holding up the progress or slowing up the progress in the kingdom. Fear. Fear of going forward. Some people don't want to be ordained because they know it's going to require them to be more people or be more responsible. And the more responsible they are, the more they know people are going to hold them to accountability to be accountable in that position. They know that. And because they know it, their intention to try to run. Their intention is because they say, I know, I can sense in my spirit that I want to elevate you. But you know, if I elevate, they're going to require this, that, we require this kind of people, I have to do this and that. I don't want to go, I just want to be the simple brother, simple deacon, sister, simple evangelist. People intentionally run from elevation because they know what it requires. They can feel in their spirit that God wants to elevate, but they intentionally run from it because they don't want to face what they have to face based on the accountability of that next place. Fear and intimidation slows up the progress. But we have to analyze and assess ourselves to see, am I doing that? Am I trying to really run from the true place of elevation that God really wanted to take me to? Because of knowing what that accountability structure is going to allow me to have to embrace Am I really running from it? Because I know. And leadership can't force you. God's not going to force you. But I'm going to tell you what he will do. He will chastise you enough and make you obey and get up and go. Because there's so much invested in us that he desired to see us step into the proper place that he designed for us. So, fear and intimidation. See, God don't want us to be walking around fearful and not doing what he's called us to do because of people, because of our own struggles, because of our own issues, because of our own perceptions of ourselves or other people, or what someone have, money, big church, intelligent, degrees, whatever it may be, looks, whole 9 yards. It doesn't matter. God said those type of things doesn't matter to me. I call you to go forward, like I tell you to go forward, according to what you have in you now. If I develop that and cultivate that, then I do that accordingly. But at the same time, you still go forward with what I've given you thus far and what you have given you thus far. So for that reason, you are not to be fearful and intimidated by nothing, for no reason, no other person, no particular person. But we are to go for it. That's and that fell into the category of fear and intimidation. Another one that slows up things in the kingdom is this. Another area that slows up things in the kingdom is when we're too critical and judgmental. Too critical and judgmental. See, when you're critical and judgmental, too critical and judgmental, what happens is you begin to, or could, and you have to assess and see what we do, in being critical and judgmental, what it does, it begin to produce a spirit of looking to find fault. And whenever we're critical and judgmental, we're having this spirit of looking to find fault. So when that occurs, that means it slows up the kingdom, because sometimes my view of you can slow up things because I have a perception of you that won't allow me to be totally free with you, to operate with you. So sometimes perception based on our judgmental and critical attitude of the kingdom and his people allow us to end up kind of being resistant to be able to even go forth and produce with his people, because we've been critical. So that means my judgmental view of you, which is off, have me thinking a way about you that will not allow me to effectively, wholeheartedly, in purity, operate with you, because my mind and my assessment of you is so judgmental to the point where I need to flow with you in purity, I can't. So it kind of slows up things because I'm still working with my own perceptions pertaining to you. So once I get past those, then I can flow in purity with you, because what happens with that, I now feel like there's a trust factor in the way that we flow together in doing the things of God. That now we can be free in the Spirit. When we're free together in the Spirit, it brings about a type of aura of God's presence where his Spirit can be free to flow. But if there's everyone in resistance because of being judgmental or critical, then what happens is we kind of resistant. And when you kind of resistant, it kind of, what it does, it quenches the Spirit. And the quenching of the Spirit is not letting the Spirit be free. See? Because you can hold hands all day long and pray, but if you got so much perceptions that's so high up in your mind and your spirit and judgment about a person, you're not totally in 100% agreement with them. You're agreeing in the form of prayer, pertaining to speaking, pertaining to sincerity of talking and communing with him. But then remember something. Any of us who understand prayer, we understand the prayer of agreement. Just like we understand the prayer of what faith, right? Prayer, faith, there's different types of prayer, right? Okay. We understand prayer, faith in different forms. Prayer of adoration, prayer of exaltation, okay. Prayer of agreement, right? It's about 6 to 7 different forms of prayer in the kingdom that we operate under. Watch this. One of the forms of prayer that we operate under is the prayer of agreement. So the prayer of agreement, when one has to come in the right mindset pertaining to touching and agreeing, to agree unto God together in sincerity and honesty. When that occurs, when we actually come in the form of what we call the covenant of the prayer of agreement. What is happening is a lot of his people is grabbing hands, praying, but not in the prayer of agreement. They're praying, watch this now, they're praying, but not in the prayer of agreement. See, just because I pray and you pray, and it's the same thing we're saying, doesn't mean we're in agreement. It doesn't mean we're in agreement. We're just saying the same thing. See? Saying the same thing doesn't mean we're in agreement. Agreement is from the heart and mind. You know what I'm saying? The agreement is from the heart and mind. It's not just from words. Words is the third realm we didn't get to. Your heart and your mind got to be on one accord, according to your words matching to agree. So when you say let's touch and agree, are we really touching and agreeing? We need to touch and agree. Are we really touching and agreeing? We're just touching and praying. It's the difference. We're not, watch this, we're not touching and agreeing, we're touching and praying. You see it? Okay, so watch this. So, that means critical and judgmental. Has to be something that we quote unquote get correct so that it don't slow up the progress of the kingdom. Okay? Judgmental and critical attitude. Okay? We have another one. Don't have your own mind. Do not have your own mind. So what does that have to do with it? It has a lot to do with it. Because a lot of people won't move unless someone else does. They won't do unless someone else do. They won't go unless their friend go, the mama go, the brother go, the sister go, the cousin go, the other saint across the room, the other sister across the room, the other mother across the room, the other friend across the room. The husband, they won't go unless the wife go, won't go unless the husband go, won't go unless the family go. See, let me tell you something. You say, well, what I got to do? Listen, assess and analyze who I am. Am I really like that? That I'm the type that wait for others to go first? Because a lot of God people are like that. They wait for others to go, then y'all going too? Yeah. What y'all going to do? Y'all going too? Yeah. A lot of God's people just like that. Yeah. Y'all gonna get that seed too? Y'all gonna get it? Y'all planning on giving the seed too? Y'all planning on going to the revival too? Y'all planning on... What did God put in your spirit? Amen. What did God tell you to do? Yeah. That's it. Some people got to be held by the hand, by their wife, by their husband, by their friend, by their cousin, by their children, by their dad, by their mom, by their sister, by their brother. No. What did God tell you to do? And sometimes we have to come to a place of having our own mind. That's not in selfishness, respectfully though. Respectfully. We understand coming in union and one accord with others, and your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your children, your cousin, and others around you. We understand covenant and covenant. We understand all those things, but then there still has to be an individual mindset that we have to have unto God. I love for Mary to come in agreement with me. But listen, when God done to me, I'm in agreement with myself and God. Now, it enhances it because she's in agreement with me, but when push comes to self, the first thing is I got to be in agreement with myself and know God spoke to me and be in agreement with Him. Amen. A lot of God's people don't have their own mind. And it's slowing up things because and guess what else I had in here? I had in here being cliquish. This was a different one, but I'm tied in with this one. And I'm tied in with this one. Because a lot of people don't have their mind, they almost act cliquish. They won't go nowhere, they won't do nothing unless somebody else doing it. If somebody else got an attitude, they got one. If somebody else want to complain, they complain. Oh, yeah, that's all in the kingdom. Okay. Let me tell you something. When you have your own mind, I'll tell you something. You can have 15 people teaching, not teaching, talking against one person. You have 15 people talking against you. When somebody got their own mind, they look right at you and you've never done nothing to them, they will say, no, I'm getting to know him for myself. I don't care what y'all said, that's what y'all encountered. He's not done nothing to me. But we saints start just liking somebody because somebody else just like it. Look at him. Watch him. What do they do? It's because the 5 other brothers don't like it. Ending up to me. Why you don't like it? Tell me the reason you don't like it. Then you have to, if you have integrity, you say, why you don't like it? What's the reason? What did he do? If you got to start, then fine, okay, well, I ain't really want to hear anything else, something legit if it's true, you know. If it's true, then fine, you went through that with him, and y'all need to get together, but he didn't do it to me. If it's not true, then go lie on that. If it's true, then he didn't get around with y'all. He did nothing to me. We have to have our own mind because it slows up the kingdom and slows up the process and the progress in the kingdom because we end up not doing it because someone else not doing it. I'm not staying home because she's staying home. I'm not doing it because you're not doing it. If I'm by myself, I'm going to do because God called me to do. Like you're going to make a difference in heaven and hell. Heaven and hell ain't going to make a difference. You think you would be like, where you going, Daddy? You be holding your wife hand? Yeah, baby. You still didn't think it would be like that if you want to. Heaven or hell, either one. Either one. Yes, it's a place of unity. You must stand with your family, whatever. But at the same time, stop this mess when it comes to heaven or hell. It's not going to be how we think it is. Either one. Burn alone, rejoice alone. When push comes to shove, yeah.
Oh my God.
So we have to have our own mind and stop being cliquish and have it respectfully, not selfishly, but respectfully have an individual mindset, respectfully, not selfishly. And cut this hose up the progress. The next one we have is you might say this one is odd and strange, but this does hold up some progress. Because the mouth holds up the progress in this sense. You might say, well, how does the mouth hold up progress? Well, it holds up progress in this sense. Because the more we speak things we shouldn't be speaking, the more it speaks against the kingdom and things God has to straighten out. And it does not keep a clear flow of things in the spirit realm with God and His people. Because remember something, the more mouths go, you and I both know, the more confusion happens. And the more confusion, the more it brings resistance from His people towards one another. And so they have to straighten out so much offenses and so much issues based on what's been talked about and said. So God said, you know what? The more you learn how to shut your mouth, be quiet, and only talk about what you need to talk about and what keeps things peaceful in the kingdom, that my spirit can flow. But when everybody yapping and running their mouth, it just keeps the atmosphere thick. Because it becomes more offenses between families and friends and church families and neighbors and whatever it may be. And God said, just be quiet and pray and keep your spirit right. That when I need to flow through you, there's peace in the atmosphere. But when you can tell that there's things in the atmosphere, and everybody's yapping, God says, see, it's thick in the room, it's thick in the atmosphere, it's thick in the community, it's thick in the body of Christ, because everybody's yapping instead of praying and yapping in the right way, which is praying and keeping their mouth shut. And only talk about what they need to talk about when they need to talk about it. It slows things down, because then God has to deal with so much. So that's the question. He said, reanalyze and reassess who we are. How's my personality and character showing up progress in the kingdom? Is that a part of my character and personality? Am I running my mouth? Am I procrastinating and slothful? Am I being prideful and haughty? Am I the type that don't want to move and do nothing unless somebody else doing it? Am I easily offended and carrying a parakeet in the parrot around? And do I have a a bag of bird seed wouldn't be to carry it in people. The next one we have is cares of the world and being overly concerned about our own personal life. Not concerned, but overly concerned. You must say, what does that have to do with anything? Because it falls under the category of one being selfish and self-centered. You say, how does that hold up anything? Let me tell you how it holds up something. It holds up something in this sense. It holds up something in the sense of saying, God wants us to be concerned about our life. You ought to be concerned about your life. We have to be concerned about our life. We have to work out things we need to work out. We have to do things we need to do from a natural standpoint, from our families, for our children, for bills, all those different things. We have to be concerned respectfully about those things. But now the Bible talks about the cares of the world choking the word. And it became unfruitful. That person became unfruitful through the cares of the word and choking the word. Now watch this. What you have to understand is, what happens a lot of times when the faith realm is being challenged, watch this, when the faith realm is being challenged in us by the Spirit of God, what He ordained now, watch this, when there's things He have ordained to challenge our faith, one of the things you have to understand that happens at the same time is always the voices of our circumstances speaking to us based on the cares of the world, respectfully, but also in the sense of making us scared to act hasty. Okay? To make us act hasty. So watch this now. If that is the case, what happens with a lot of God's people, they move too quick out of being scared because of their circumstances. And they move too quick, too fast out of fear. And what it does, it chokes the situation. Because I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you something about a person who's scared. And when a person is scared about their personal life, every penny, every resource, every bit of energy, every person they got to borrow from, go to, act, they put all their pride aside, the whole 90 yards, to accomplish what they need to accomplish when they're scared. Watch this now. And most of the time, it's not good. Let me tell you why. Because a lot of times when they begin to put their pride aside, I'm going to put my pride aside and go to this person, I said, I don't tell you to go to them because I still challenging their faith. I'm going to do something. You went to so-and-so, I didn't tell you to go to them. Because you was going out of your fear. What are we going to do? 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 And so we're going to put our pride aside. See, don't, God didn't say you don't dummy. Put your pride aside. Watch this. Put your pride aside and go to this one. Because I didn't tell you to go to them. Now put your pride aside and go to that one. Because I didn't tell you to go to him or her. Put your pride aside and go to this one. Because I didn't tell you to go to him or her. Watch the 3 people that want you. And then the 4th person. Because I didn't tell you to go to him. Go to him or her. I didn't tell you to go to him. You get it accomplished, not in the will of God. This is how, watch this now. And about 3 weeks ago, y'all heard me talking about the foot with the devil. The Bible said, give no room to the devil. Draw not of God, he draw not of you, give no place to the devil. And really, when you look at the translation, it really means put a foothold. And remember, what the devil, not like I was saying then, what the devil does, he uses one foot. It's not even his body.
Oh my God.
And he had thrown a whole person's whole life off with 1 foot. Because they were scared, and he began to talk through their circumstances, and he threw their whole life off on 1 foot. See? On 1 foot. Because it says foothold, 1 foot. It didn't say leg. It did not say his thigh or his whole entire chest or shoulder. It said his foot, a foothold. Satan, see, it's the mercy of God covering and pushing him back. If Satan really had his whole thigh in there, it'd be hell. It'd be hell in a person's life. But God said, I let him get the foot in there just to get in there, but I still got to chastise you and rebuke you and still work myself in the midst, even though Satan came in and scared you through your own circumstances. And he uses sport to get you to shift your whole life off course. One foot. See? And see, this is what happens a lot of times. When this occurs, you have to, I'm telling you, one of the things that you need to understand. Listen, we all can go through facing this, that, but I'm going to tell you something. Number one thing you have to do is you're going to have a sound mind. You're going to have to stay on your knees praying. And when you have to consecrate, consecrate. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you're going through and things are coming at you left and right, and your flesh is talking and screaming, and your circumstance looking at you, your flesh is going to react and start doing it. But I'm telling you something. Something here that's holding up here now, because I don't want to make no wrong decision here. Because all these things are coming in all different kinds of directions, all these kind of directions. Remember now, that's when really your strength is really being tested. That's when your faith is really being tested. That's when your character is really being built and molded. And that's the moment. And most saints, not all, most saints lose it right there. Right there's where they lose it. Right there. And you hear about what's going on, they go, what's going on? You know what I mean? This decision, that decision, this decision, that decision, this decision, that decision, life all tied up. You're like, nobody can get them out.